Yeah. Yes, it has been. It's a free draft. Yeah, it's crazy. My thing is still loading on my side, so I can't really see it.
I think we're up.
I just have a black screen. I don't know if
Okay, cool. I think we're up. We're good.
Okay.
That you can tell it's the first stream.
You can tell it's the first stream. It's always the first stream where nothing goes right.
So we were just saying, this is the first time of the 2024 year that we are going to be doing a mock draft on this channel. This channel's been dormant. It's been waiting in the shadows, ready to be revealed and ready to shine. And that time is coming, guys. It's June. As Daniel Macy, our expert countdown analyst, is in the chat.
How are we doing, baby?
94 days until the NFL draft. 94 days until the NFL draft. We're already in the double-digit numbers. So this channel is going to...
until kickoff. He said until the NFL draft.
Oh, sorry. Until the draft.
No, it's okay. We've been saying NFL draft literally.
Yeah.
Like since the season started last year or ended last year.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know this is actually kind of crazy. But that's funny. So double digits to the NFL season, okay? And this channel is about to pop off. We're going to be pumping content on this channel. We're in the midst of working on a draft guide for you guys, which is very exciting as well. We'll talk about that. We might do some underdog drafts, but today we're doing a, I guess, real draft, if you will, kind of focusing on the redraft space.
Redraft. Yeah.
We appreciate y'all for being in here. Do us a favor, smash that like button. We have a like goal today of 50. It's our first mock draft of the year. Help us get to that 50 like mark. We see in the chat. Let us know who we're hanging out with. What's up, Dan? He says, oh, yeah, I'm here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to join the flock this year. You'd love to see that. We'll talk about that in a second. Crypto's in the building. WG says, babe, get in here. Zach is back. Yes, back from holiday. It's good to be away. I'm not going to lie. The second half of the holiday was really sad, kind of depressing just because I was sick. I'm still like working through that sickness, just like strep throat, overall like cold flu.
And it doesn't get any better coming to it being at least what we think is freezing.
Yeah, it's freezing over here where we are now in Sydney, which is crazy. But it is good to be back. What's up, Bradley? What's up, Joel? Welcome in, guys. It's good to have all of you here. But we are doing a redraft draft today. All right. So if people want to join, how can they go about doing so? And honestly, like even me today, I'm like trying to figure out, I'm trying to get in my rhythm because I got back yesterday, or I got back 2 days ago at night. And then yesterday I said, you know what, take the day, Zach. You need to rest up. You're sick. And then I got on my computer after being on holiday and I looked at the projection machine that's available that we use. And I was like, nah, I got to get these. I just wanted to do it. So I spent like 4 or 5 hours yesterday doing projections. I'm spending more time today doing projections, getting, through the meat of it, but still got about half the league left to give some projections for. But we will, I know for me, my best ball rankings will be up, which is basically our redraft rankings for now, okay? If you're on the Flock Fantasy website, best ball, that's where our redraft rankings will be held for now. But that will be out for me in the next couple days over there. And we're trying to wrap our head around this whole thing at this point. There's a lot of things we don't really know for sure about drafting this year just yet because we haven't done it much.
No question. And just know, if you're watching this now or maybe later, things are fluid. Things are going to change. I mean, we're doing this mock draft here in June. And a lot of things are going to be changing. ADP, we're getting a feel for it, like Zach is saying. So I think it's going to be really fun and exciting just to see how things kind of pan out to to this redraft season going into this year.
Yeah, I agree. But if people want to join us, how can they do that?
Yeah, guys, join our Discord. Link in the description, and link is going to be in the chat. When you join our Discord here, okay, all you have to do is go to the Fantasyland tab with the orange footballs, then go to content releases. That's how you can join all of our mock drafts in the future, or if you're watching right now with us, we can definitely send that link to you, and that's where the link is going to be going. And if Zach sends that link, I can send that link out immediately to myself or to me.
Yeah.
But once again, go to the Fantasyland tab with the orange footballs, go to content releases, and then that's how you can join each and every mock draft. And if you're here with us now and you're saying, hey, I kind of want to mock with you guys, this is the perfect opportunity, because this is the time where these mock drafts aren't going to be filled as quickly as we get closer and closer to the season. I kind of wanted to do the back end here as well. I'm going to go team 11 here. So I'll send this link out here now once again. Fantasyland tab with the orange footballs content releases. That link is being sent out in 3, 2, 1. There you go.
I'm honestly curious how this will fill up.
If it even fill up, yeah, no. Normally the first one is definitely very slow, and as we build up and get closer and closer to the off season. So,
all right. So far we've got. Okay, yeah, we're filling up. Okay. All right, we're filling up. Yeah, 3 spots left now.
Next occasion.
But yeah, this will be fun. I always love kind of getting into the rhythm of things. We let this channel kind of go dormant for pretty much January to May, and we're working on the Dynasty channel during that time. But now's the time to kind of get back into things and feel it out. So let's get on the same page here. This is a one quarterback PPR. We'll say tight end premium for sure. Like, let's just say a 0.5 redraft mock. Okay, so we're all on the same page here. We've done kind of like a simple, what is this, start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Start 9. Simple start 9.
Yeah.
But I haven't even looked at ADP on Sleeper yet, honestly. This is going to be interesting. Anyway, let's go ahead and start this thing off. So who's the 101 this year? Who is the 101 this year?
I would think it would be between 3 people. There you go. I thought it would be CeeDee Lamb, Christian McCaffrey, and Justin Jefferson. That's what I would say. I think people still like Justin Jefferson, whether or not he has a rookie quarterback. I think a lot of people are going to be seeing. I think as we get more closer and closer to the season, and we're hearing more and more, JJ McCarthy and Justin Jefferson has a good, connection, and they're building their chemistry. I think people might be leaning towards JJ as we get closer to the season. But right now, I would say my 101 will be between CMC and CeeDee Lamb.
Can I tell you something concerning? I am, like I said, I'm only halfway through my projections right now. It was really difficult to stat out and project the Minnesota Vikings offense. You got Sam Darnold, who have we ever seen a season of him supporting a fantasy wide receiver ever? No, he's never had Justin Jefferson, right?
Sure.
And then you've also got JJ McCarthy. I think there's a chance that they kind of split the season. There's a chance it's a 50-50. JJ takes over at some point. But that team is very difficult to project. And I don't have Justin Jefferson in my top 5 wide receivers right now.
Okay. Then that's fair.
That's today. This is early. This is the 3rd of June where we are, the 2nd of June where you guys are. And I get it. Justin Jefferson, he's been successful with backup quarterbacks. You look at backup quarterbacks last year. He's been heavily targeted. He's played really, really well. But he's never had to go like the entire year without his starting quarterback, right? And he's never had Sam Darnold step in there and be like, all right, this is the dude. So I'm a little bit more concerned about Jefferson than I'd say the average person. I'm definitely taking Amon-Ra over him. I'm taking Chase over him. I think I'm taking Puka Nacua over him at this point, as crazy as that sounds. It's not anti-Jefferson. Obviously, he's probably the best wide receiver in the NFL.
Sure.
It's just trying to be realistic with what expectations should be.
And I think a lot of people will, I mean, as you make your pick, you have 20 seconds here.
Yeah, I think I'll grab Puka Nacua here, as I was just talking about him.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will still believe that Justin Jefferson is a quarterback that went through, you know, this quarterback carousel, kind of like what Michael was saying, Cousins, Dobbs, Mullins. It didn't matter. He was still fantasy relevant. Now, the projections of him, you know, getting 20, what was he averaging? 22 plus fantasy points. Maybe I'm not remembering correctly. I'm gonna take a running back here. Take Jahmyr Gibbs. You know, what is that going to potentially be looking like with a quarterback, whether that's Sam Darnold, whether that's JJ McCarthy. So it's going to be interesting to see. No doubt about it. I'm excited to see what's going to be happening.
In a way, I mean, you know, Kevin O'Connell's going to scheme him open. He's going to play, you know, incredibly. But in a way, you have an advantage with all those quarterbacks cycling through because defenses don't have a game plan. You've frozen on us there. But Aki's frozen on us there, but he'll be back in, I'm sure, in a second. But in a way, you're a little bit at an advantage because what is the defense planning for? I mean, you're constantly rotating through different quarterbacks. But yeah, I think we should be a little more concerned than we are currently. Guys who are going to see a similar target share, I just think should be preferred. Amon-Ra is going to see 27 to 30% of the targets, just like Jefferson is. And he's got Goff. We know that. Same with Ja'Marr Chase with Joe Burrow. I believe the same with Puka Nacua with Matthew Stafford. So a lot of people are going to see it as anti-Jefferson. It's not. It's just trying to be realistic. But all right, I'm on the board here. And man, this is really tough trying to figure this out. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Sheesh.
Okay.
You back?
I'm back. I mean, I have no idea what happened all week. Internet's been phenomenal, and then you come back and it shoots itself.
Classic. That's just
but I didn't hear what you said. I took Saquon Barkley there. Was hoping for Garrett Wilson to come back to me, but I think I wanted to say I don't know what you've kind of got into. I think this year in the second half of the draft, if you have a second half of the draft, our pick, I guess from the 108 onwards, I do believe it might be ideal going running back, getting that stack out running back, and then how deep the wide receiver room is.
Yeah, I kind of panicked there with ETN. I need to finish these projections to really know exactly where I stand with some of these names. So let's do the Justin Jefferson. It's early. It's the 3rd of June. This is going to change a lot, right? I mean, you should really judge us in late August on how our rankings look. But I just want to play a game here, and the game is Justin Jefferson or this player. And when you were gone, I was talking about how I just personally prefer those players who I think are going to get 27 to 30% of the target share, just like Jefferson, but I think their quarterback situation is a lot more stable. So let's play that game then. Justin Jefferson or Amon-Ra St. Brown?
Right now, I'll go Justin Jefferson.
Okay, so it's easily Amon-Ra for me, but I get where you're coming from. How about Ja'Marr Chase or Justin Jefferson?
I always was back and forth with both of those guys. You know, I'm not thinking about it. I might take Amon-Ra because my biggest argument all over Ja'Marr Chase, where a lot of people were saying about Justin Jefferson, was the quarterback play. Not thinking about it. I think that's a toss-up because I've always had Chase higher than Jefferson, and I know I wasn't with consensus there because I was always concerned about what happens when Kirk Cousins leaves.
That's dynasty. Let's talk redraft though.
And in redraft, I think I would go. I would go Justin Jefferson still
over Ja'Marr Chase.
I mean, Ja'Marr Chase over Justin Jefferson.
Okay,
Sorry.
over. Okay. So if you look at target share the last 3 years, Jefferson's had 27, 28, and 29. It's actually gone down each 3 years 1%, 29, 28, 27%. Let's say he's at 28%. 28% of the target share. He's going to see a ton of targets. How many of them will be catchable? I don't know. By the way, I still have him statted out to have over 1,500 yards, over 105 receptions. I don't know what the touchdowns will look like with that quarterback play, but I'm thinking about some of these other names who I think will have that 27 to 30% target share. Amon-Ra, Ja'Marr Chase. How about Puka Nacua? Are you going to go Justin Jefferson over Puka Nacua?
Yeah, I would.
Okay. So at the moment, I got Puka Nacua. Last year, we saw Puka with 29% of the target share. I've given him 28% of the target share. And Cooper Kupp, by the way, I think is going to be one of my favorite picks. But that's 28% of the targets from Matthew Stafford or 28% of the targets from Sam Darnold or J.J. McCarthy. I get how talented Jefferson is. Is there another name I'd throw in that ring? I'm trying to think. How about A.J. Brown?
Well, that's the thing. Like, if we're saying we're going to take Justin Jefferson over all these players, is he even a first round pick?
Yes, I think he is a first round pick. It's just late first for me.
Okay.
Although I'm not sure I'm taking him over Bijan or Brees or Gibbs. I'm trying to figure that out in my head. How about A.J. Brown? I have him 157 targets in my projections. 28% of the target share.
Yeah, I think A.J. Brown was what was his target share last year?
Last year, A.J. Brown had 30% of the targets.
28. Okay. Yeah, because I was gonna say I kind of project him a little bit lower now with Saquon. I think they're gonna utilize him in that air a little bit more this year, or in this offense. Targeting a running back in this offense. Yeah, I would still go Justin Jefferson.
Okay, I think that's where it gets really close for me. I don't know the answer just yet, but I am taking Amon-Ra, Lamb, Hill, Chase, Puka at this point. But like I said, very early. So Laporta goes at the 212. It's a 0.5 premium. How high are you going to take Laporta? Is he going to be the first tight end off the board? Is it going to be Kelsey? I don't know, but how high are you willing to take a tight end, whoever you want at this point?
Well, you know me, I'm not really big on taking tight ends in a redraft, not even if it's a 0.5 premium, or half a point premium, because I just don't really think that moves the needle here for me. Just depending on your build as well. I think I'm still gonna be looking at a tight end maybe 6, 7, 8, around 6, 7, 8, depending on who falls to me.
Yeah, we'll see what those names are then soon.
Yeah, exactly. We need to see who's at, because there's definitely a couple guys that I would like to take there.
369 just brought up a point, and it's funny because I felt like this is my actual argument last year. I feel like this was me commenting a year ago. He says AJ Brown's iffy as a first rounder. He isn't the only guy. Devonta Smith later in the draft, same upside, is a better pick. That's how I felt last year, and it completely burnt me. Like, big time burnt me. Let's be honest, if you own Devonta Smith, you were very disappointed last year. The consistency was all over the place, and you never knew when to actually start the guy. Like, in our home league, Badaki, I had him, and I was like, when the hell do I start this guy? I never know if he's gonna burn me or not. Right. Maybe that's just me, but I'm gonna grab. I think, man, Trey McBride seems really enticing here. But how do you feel about that? Like, do you feel like, okay, I'll skip on AJ Brown here because I know I get Smith later? I know sometimes we have that mindset going into drafts. I did that last year and it burnt me, is all I'm saying.
I think it just depends on the player. I think when it comes down to AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, I personally would rather go AJ Brown.
Based off price?
Well, just based off price and what the production.
Like, considering both of them at their ADPs, you would rather have AJ Brown, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I would exactly. Because I agree and I second that. I was really big on that, on taking Devonta Smith last year, because what did we see with Devonta Smith, top 12 wide receiver the year before, going in, still getting drafted in what I think he was getting drafted late third, early fourth round, while AJ Brown was a first round pick last year.
Yeah.
And you wish you had AJ Brown that whole season. So, I think that is really kind of the way.
Dude, it was really tough. I mean, as someone who rode that train all last year preseason and in drafts, it really bit me. So we got to be careful with that. I'm not saying it's the wrong take. I'm just saying like, hey,
well, it's going to be the same. I think what's going to happen.
Hurt us.
That's going to be the same thing with Puka and Cooper Kupp this year, because Cooper Kupp wasn't 100%. If Cooper Kupp stays healthy, how much does he eat into Puka Nacua? At least that's going to be the conversation. That's going to be the expectation. Because Puka Nacua at the 109, Cooper Kupp 3.5. That was nearly identical to what's happening with AJ Brown, Devonta Smith. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Different players, obviously, but that's a good point.
Yeah.
Are you scared? Let's talk about that then. Are you scared off at all about taking Puka at his ADP, which will be a first round pick probably?
No, I think the floor is still there for Puka. Unless something like the risk with Cooper Kupp is the injury. We haven't seen that from Puka. So you can get Cooper Kupp in the third round. That can be a wide receiver too, and then he misses half of the season.
Yeah.
I think with the injury history, there's more of a risk taking Cooper Kupp, but knowing what he can produce. I'm going to be taking Jaylen Waddle here.
Ooh, I love that pick, dude. I just before we finished just before we got into the stream, I finished statting out the Dolphins. Jaylen Waddle is gonna be one of my favorite picks. I think I'm gonna be all in on Jaylen Waddle this year. I don't think people realized how unfortunate his injuries were last year. So the fact that we're getting him in the fourth round now, I think I'm gonna be all in. I'm confused why Keenan Allen is up here. Maybe that's just shock factor right now. You know, I don't understand why Josh Jacobs is still available.
Because he's already hurt. That's why.
I'm going to take Josh Jacobs here. So I got Etienne and Jacobs as my RB1, RB2. And Josh Jacobs is not going to dominate the Green Bay backfield the way he did in Las Vegas. You know,
I don't think so either.
Very few running backs ever do that. You know, like his market share on the ground was insane the last 3 years. In 2022, he had 80% of the team's rushing attempts. 80% is like when you're playing Madden and you turn off injuries and fatigue. You know, there's like, let's just run this guy into the ground, right? But 80% is like unheard of at this point. Last year he had 77% of the share. But I mean, if you look at Green Bay running backs,
exactly,
since 2020, it's been hovering around 50% of the share as a RB1, 47% of the share.
Keep in mind that's with Aaron Jones, like healthy as well. Obviously, Aaron Jones, it gets the ball a lot in the air.
Yeah, so I've statted him out as 55% of the share. That's still 265 attempts. Which is a lot. I think Marshawn Lloyd gets about 30% of that. But I still think fourth round it's not like your draft, like think about the last couple of years you've had to take Josh Jacobs end of round 1, early round 2, late round 2. Now I'm getting round 4. That feels like a steal.
Yeah, I think as Josh Jacobs for me is somebody that I want to avoid with all the uncertainties, even in a redraft perspective. Okay. You know, I agree. I don't see his production really increasing in Green Bay. I think that's going to be hurting him coming into this year. And I think this offense wants to be pass heavy. That's why you got a pass catching back. Aaron Jones wasn't dominating this team on the ground. He was getting a lot of his work in the air.
I would say this move indicates to me that they would like to be more balanced. Getting a guy like Josh Jacobs, who, he can catch passes, but guess how many receiving touchdowns this guy has in his career?
Josh Jacobs.
Right? None. He's never had a receiving touchdown. So I think this, to me, indicates they'd like to be more reliable on the ground. Aaron Jones couldn't stay healthy. A.J. Dillon is A.J. Dillon. To me, them getting both Lloyd and Jacobs, I think it's an indication that they will run the ball more this year. I could be wrong. But I think the same way almost of, and it's different scenarios, but different players, different ADPs. Last year, my favorite player to draft was David Montgomery. I had him everywhere. And it's just because I didn't see how he didn't score double-digit touchdowns in that offense. I don't see how Josh Jacobs, if he stays healthy, doesn't get double-digit touchdowns as a Green Bay Packer. That offense is better than any offense he's been a part of in Las Vegas. Instantly. He's instantly on the best offense he's ever been in his career. So I think he's going to be a pick I'll have a lot. But let's talk about the Houston wide receivers. Okay? Collins goes in the third, Diggs in the fourth, Dell in the fourth as well, later fourth. He is the last one off the board of those three names. Are you going to draft a Texans wide receiver in the first 4 rounds? Not that you can get them later. I'm just asking, like, is that going to be a pick that you're like, yeah, I'm going to do that?
Yeah, 100%. If I can get, well, the guy that I think is phenomenal value is Tank Dell. Not even in the sleeper ADP, but even in underdog. I bought a video on them. Now I know a lot of people are believing Stephon Diggs is going to play a huge part. I'm not saying he's not. I don't think Tank Dell is going to be irrelevant. I think all these guys could potentially eat, but I'm just believing in Tank Dell a little bit more. Wow, they got a run of quarterbacks and tight ends here. Believing in Tank Dell and his ADP to return the way he did in the second half of the season if he was healthy, right? I think that's what's exciting. Now, Stephon Diggs is going to be demanding targets, but I don't think he's going to be demanding the targets that he was getting in Buffalo, of course. I mean, you can't come into this offense where you just sign a long-term contract to Nico Collins and hopefully Stephon Diggs, you're hoping and believing that he's going to get 140 targets. I doubt it. Not even 140. Let's just say he gets less than 100 targets. Where's his upside then? I don't think it's going to be as what we expect. So I'd rather take the cheapest wide receiver, and that will be Tank Dell.
Yeah,
in this scenario.
I wish there was more of a gap in where these guys were available, because you can't get these guys in round 5. Like, we keep saying Tank Dell's the most like, he's the cheapest.
I think that will change though. This is early. I think that's easily changing because there are names here that still haven't gotten the talk going into the season, at least from my perspective. Obviously, you see all these guys. Look how late some of these guys are going, right?
Yeah.
Some of these guys are going to get even higher. Like, some people are going to say, for example, Keenan Allen going at the 5.7. I know Rome Odunze is there. Getting close to the season, you know, Rome Odunze is probably going to be taking that back seat. Hypothetically, that report comes out. It's going to be taking that back seat behind Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen gets bumped, right? Somebody gets hurt. In preseason, somebody gets bumped.
I see it the opposite way. I think a lot of people like Tank Dell. There'll be a lot of content around Tank Dell. I don't know that you're going to get him cheaper personally. Yeah. I mean, people are... Think about it. One of the most exciting offenses in the NFL right now is the Houston Texans. And everyone's going to talk about getting a piece of this. The cheapest buy-in is Tank Dell. I think that's going to hurt him because everyone's going to be like, I love Tank Dell. Look at his ADP. Look at his ADP. And then everyone's going to be on a Tank Dell. And it's like, oh, shit. Now we got to take him in the 3rd round.
Well, so I mean, I would think... But I think I see that differently because everyone's talking about Stephon Diggs and now how he's going to CJ Stroud and how he's the wide receiver too, or people say
I haven't heard anyone talk about Stephon Diggs like excited about him. The only thing I've heard is people in Dynasty being like, "Well, this sucks. This really sucks."
Yeah, in Dynasty, people saying it sucks, but I mean, people are still believing in Stephon Diggs and what he can do in this offense. Where I think we're going to see a completely different type of player in this offense because Stephon Diggs produced commanded targets. He can't command targets in this offense. Not with Nico Collins and Tank Dell. At least not with the mouse of feet, at least.
I guess I just don't understand why.
I think that's hard to see.
Yeah, I mean, look.
He can command it as a talent, for sure. But I just think there's too many mouths to feed now to where it's like people are still believing that he just is going to be the guy. Or at least
I just don't personally believe there's any foundation to say that Diggs can't be the guy there. Like, there's every argument as to why he can. Just my opinion, like looking at this offense, I don't see any reason why it can't be Diggs. Why, like, there's not a reason I can think of. Oh, Diggs is definitely not the number one. Like, outside of like a bias if I have for like a Nico Collins or something, I just don't see a reason why I could confidently say that. I can confidently say that he's dominated targets a lot of his career, and they traded for him. Yeah, okay, so they gave Nico Collins a long-term deal. Do you know how good that deal was that they got for Nico Collins? Any team in the NFL gives Nico Collins that after what he did last year. That is like the most affordable, smart contract a team has made this entire offseason, giving Nico Collins that deal. He should have made way more money.
Nico Collins made more money than Michael Pittman. I need to make a pick here.
Yeah, and Michael Pittman had a relatively team-friendly deal with the Colts.
Yeah, when it comes out to team-friendly, yeah, I can definitely understand that. I was just surprised that he got more than Michael Pittman just as a number figure. Right. I mean, we've seen the multiple years of Michael Pittman and his production being successful there with the carousel of quarterbacks. Nico Collins couldn't do it without an elite quarterback coming in. Right.
Yeah.
That was my surprise. I was like, whoa. I mean, it's not by much. Well, a couple million.
I get it. Right? Well, what I'm trying to say is your argument is they pay Nico Collins, so therefore Nico Collins is the number one. Well, they traded for Stephon Diggs. You don't trade for Stephon Diggs if you feel like we have an unquestioned number one that Diggs isn't going to like come in here and take some targets from. So I just disagree. I mean, you can use one offseason transaction and you can use another one as an argument. But what we do know is Stephon Diggs has dominated targets most of his career, at least since being in Buffalo, and they traded for him. They don't trade for him if they feel like we don't need Stephon Diggs, you know? They don't trade for him to be like, all right, no, Diggs, you've been one of the best wide receivers in the NFL the last 4 years. I want you to be our third now. I want you to get 100 targets. Like, I just don't see that being the case. I think there's every reason to make Stephon Diggs' case as being the number one in this offense, as you can for any other player, Tank or Nico Collins. Yeah. So I disagree. But
I guess my rebuttal to that would just be Stephon Diggs, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, in his career had no one around him. He was the primary guy, I'm pretty sure, in Minnesota and in Buffalo. He
wasn't the primary in Minnesota, but they also didn't know what they had in him. Adam Thielen was a favorite.
He had no suitable talent to take targets away from him.
Adam Thielen was one of the better receivers in the NFL at that time, so I disagree.
Sure, I guess I would say maybe not in Minnesota, but I can definitely argue for Buffalo because they didn't have anyone in Buffalo.
Sure, but I mean, so what do we say that about Davante Adams in Green Bay?
No, not.
Well, look, Davante Adams had no one to take targets away from him, therefore he's not going to lead the Raiders. Do you know what I mean? Like, I get it, but I just don't know how much foundation that argument has.
Yeah, I guess we agree to disagree. I just don't think that he's just going to come in and be like, all right, here's 120 targets.
I think he easily sees 120.
Do your best with it. And I think that could be the case because of how high powered this offense is easily going to be.
Now, 120, I think, is that's a cakewalk for him, I think. Look, so
that means somebody
you haven't started. You haven't done your projections yet, right?
No.
So I'm curious, when you do, we should have another conversation about how you see this target share panning out in Houston. Because I've said this all offseason, like, I can make a case for any one of these guys leading the way in targets. And at the moment, I've given each of them 21% of the target share because I really don't have a strong indication either way. But I don't know, dude. Like, I just don't see a reason why Diggs can't be the number one in that offense. I'm not saying he will be, but I think there's every reason to say, why can't Stephon Diggs be the number one in that offense? Same way people will say with Nico Collins, because there's that rapport and he got the contract. It's tough to buy in at some of the prices, but what happens if they all eat each other and there's not consistency? That's concerning.
Well, if they all eat each other, then all those guys are a good flex option. Essentially, that means that all of them are probably scoring double-digit points, but none of them are surpassing 13 points per game because everyone is all scoring the exact same thing.
Mason's in the chat. He says Diggs value looks juicy to me. Market right now is Nico 1, Diggs 2, Tank Dell 3. Yeah, we're seeing that here as well in our mock draft. This is our first redraft mock draft. Mason, I know you're powering through the best ball drafts all offseason, but we're trying to wrap our head around all the ADP right now and figure out who's the players that we're going to be advocating for and who players that we might not be advocating for. But it's really tough, man. Really tough to kind of figure out that wide receiver room. Damn, Hollywood Brown was who I wanted there.
Hollywood.
But you know what?
A couple guys here.
I'm gonna grab ooh. This level of wide receiver is juicy, man. Like there's 6 names I want to draft here. Let's grab Lad.
Okay.
Because there's another name, and I don't think people like him, and I think he'll come back to me.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know who that might be, but...
Okay, that was one of them. I just didn't think people like Calvin Ridley.
Well, I've been on like a Titans love train lately. Pause. But I genuinely have. I've kind of looked into this team, this offense, what's potentially going to be happening, and a lot of really is going to ride on Will Levis and what's potentially going to be happening with him. But the offensive line improves. Brian Callahan comes in. The weapons all around him, are phenomenal. Brian Callahan has produced. I mean, obviously not him, but he had the weapons around him to do it. T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, right? Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd's a big part of this offense here. Calvin really is a big part of this offense. He's got his feet wet from being with Trevor Lawrence. Now Will Levis is nowhere near the quarterback that Trevor Lawrence is, but what I do know is that Will Levis should have more time with this offensive line, because what did they do? J.C. Latham, Christian Berry from the Broncos, Peter Skoronski going to the next level. They get more of a pass-heavy offense rather than a run-heavy offense. And one of the biggest issues with Will Levis, and one of the reasons why we've seen Will Levis even on the field, is because because Ryan Tannehill was injured, because he was getting sacked behind the line of scrimmage more than half of the time. So if he could just have remotely the same amount of time, and I don't know, I think that can just be really exciting there. And
they improved their offensive line obviously a lot by the draft with Latham, like you mentioned. But yeah, last year was tough because Levis's biggest issue out of college was that he couldn't sense pressure in a pocket to save his life. Then he comes into the NFL behind that offensive line, and it's like those issues just compounded big time. But yeah, Ridley in the late 7th round is a pretty fun buy, I'd say.
100%.
36 says, how about the Packers wideouts? They have a couple guys that can all be the guy. Dude, funnily enough, that was the one thing I tweeted out yesterday when I was statting out this year, is talking about the Packers wide receiver room. Because none of these guys have had over 20% of the targets. In fact, I went back and looked. Since Davante Adams has left, there hasn't been a wide receiver that's had 20% of the target share in Green Bay. Now, obviously, Reed, if you look at second half of the season, he had that 20% target share. But with Watson not healthy, what does that mean? When Watson did play, he was heavily targeted.
No, I was going to take the...
So, but I gets Christian Watson, by the way.
Well, I didn't want Christian Watson because I had Jaden Reed.
It's just, you know what? Whoever it is, you're gonna have that guy.
That honestly, guy, I want it. I mean, I definitely understand. That Green Bay, wide receiver room. I just bought a take on Christian Watson. I think his value is phenomenal. I mean, you get Jaden Reed, nearly 2 rounds ahead. I get Christian Watson if he can stay healthy. I mean, it's exciting for Christian Watson, especially at his price range. Even though I did get both of them, and he was a panic pick, I still think he's great value there, especially with that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put him with the elite quarterback as of yet. I think he has a foot in the door, but Jordan Love, right? Like, what he did this past year was pretty phenomenal, and if that Jordan Love or sitting behind Aaron Rodgers for those 4 years is going to make him that elite quarterback, then you want a lot of these weapons on Green Bay, right? So
Yes, I get it. I think it depends on ADP, but I might be avoiding that room entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Just because
I'm interested.
There are so many talented names. Like Dobbs is going to get targets. He's really good in the red zone. Watson, when healthy, was the highest targeted guy. But will that change if they don't think they can rely on him? Dontavian Wicks comes out of nowhere. And by the way, we haven't even talked about both of their tight ends who can both earn targets. Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave. So I don't know, dude. I'm trying to really like get a firm foundation on how I feel about those two names, or those 4, 5, 6 names. But at the moment, it feels more like an avoid than anything, just because I can see so many ranges of outcome.
The reason why I'm not huge on, and I'm not necessarily worried specifically about, like, I feel really confident in Watson and Reed, is because I'm not a huge believer in Wicks specifically. Now, Rome, I think there can be an argument, no doubt about it, or Romeo.
Okay.
But Wicks,
the way is, like, Wicks,
I see it,
he was a late round pick. He was a talented guy in college, and he was one of the most efficient wide receivers on their team all last year. I just think that team is going to reward that. I'm not saying he's going to be the number one or anything. Like, there's a crazy Wicks hype out there that just thinks he's going to be like the dude. I'm not there. But I'm just saying, like, I do think he's probably earned more targets. And in a wide receiver room where there's already so many mouths to feed, I just don't know how to digest that yet.
Yeah. And look, I definitely think he can definitely earn targets, but he has to surpass now. And I don't think he will do that. That means he has to surpass Watson. If Watson stays healthy the whole season, I don't see Wicks being anywhere near where he was this past year.
So that's the thing, though. Watson hasn't been able to stay healthy ever.
Yeah, and that is the biggest thing. 100%.
Now, this offseason, they really focused on him figuring out the issues with the hamstrings. Apparently, one hamstring or one leg has been bigger than the other his entire life or something, and they're trying to figure that out.
He got leg issues.
So, anyway, I don't know, dude. Like,
leg day.
It's funny because when I look at the Texans wide receiver core and the Green Bay Packers wide receiver core, even though the Texans are more expensive, I feel better about drafting them just because the volume wasn't crazy for any Packers wide receiver last year. It was really like efficient work, a high percentage of touchdowns, and I don't know how replicable that is, but Liam says, what are the odds of Houston receivers, one getting hurt and the others being steals? Who's going to get hurt, though? I mean, you gotta decide who that will be. And we know historically predicting injuries is almost impossible. So I get you. Just tough to know. Yes, I think I won 4 championships last year. I think Badaki also won some.
Yeah, I think I won like 3 or something along those lines. I won more in redraft than anything.
Mason says, I feel like one of the Packers guys is going to smash. I just don't know which one. You're literally exactly, Mason. I was statting out this room and that's what I said to myself. If any of these guys get 20% of the targets, I think that player smashes. I just don't know what that player is. If I had to bet on it, I'd say Reed, but I don't know.
If I had to bet on it, I'll say Reed as well.
And that's what's scary about that.
I think there could be 2 wide receivers that are fantasy relevant that Jordan Love can produce and be 2 top 20 wide receivers. That's going to be Reed and Watson. The only way I genuinely envision Rome or Wicks being that is if one of these guys missed a significant amount of time. And we saw both of those guys eat when Watson missed a significant amount of time. So a lot of it leans on Watson if he can stay healthy. Now that's a big if. That's a big risk. But like you said, when Watson was on the field, he was the most targeted guy.
Yeah.
And we saw how he can really open it up and really.
Yeah.
I don't want to say demand and take over this offense, but like how he is a huge game changer when he's healthy.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Which is exciting.
Can he stay healthy?
Yeah.
Josh says there's a section of people that think Bo Melton's going to be a star. Yeah. And to be honest, all these guys are actually really good players. That's what makes it really difficult, which is why I think I might be out, because I don't think I can personally hype myself up enough in like understanding who actually is going to be the guy there. That's why I might just steer clear. Keon Coleman sitting there, and I don't even want. I don't want it.
Wide receiver 1 for Buffalo, man.
I do want Brian Robinson there. I think I like that price. Late
I like
ninth
Brian
round.
Robinson. Had him on my queue there.
I think this is the best offense he'll be a part of, even though Jaden Daniels is a rookie. I think he'll be in the red zone more often than he's been in his career. He won't be a factor through the air as much anymore, but what does that make him off the board? Let me count.
I wanted David. That's what I wanted to take at 8-2. Daniel Macy. And I panic on Christian Watson. So David Njoku's gone off the board.
That makes Brian Robinson the RB 36, by the way.
Which I guess I'm just going to risk it for the biscuit, maybe.
You know what? TX just made a very good point, what I was thinking about as well. If you're talking about all these good wide receivers and you don't know who's going to smash, but they're all good, they're all attached to a good quarterback, take the quarterback. Take Jordan Love. And I agree. At the 8-7, I feel like I don't want to take Josh Allen in the third, seeing how many quarterbacks I love later on in the draft.
I like how... Gosh,
they're going to get auto-picked again.
I'm just thinking of who to take there.
Do you think Chase Brown or Zach Moss leads? I'm not going to say to start the year, but into the season. We don't know if either of them, by the way, will be like league winners or guys you want to start. But
I think the end of the season is Chase Brown. I think Zach Moss is going to come out. They're going to give him those opportunities. He's probably going to be the guy leading that backfield maybe for the first 5 to 6 weeks. And then you're going to see Chase Brown open up a little bit more. And I was contemplating between Chase Brown and Tajay Spears, kind of both in the same offense. I went with the backup that I project to be on the better offense, essentially. Whether it's Tajay Spears leading or is it Tony Pollard. There goes Dallas, a Goddard there. But I see Chase Brown being the pass-catching back. And, you know, we just haven't seen... Well, we see Zach Moss have his best career season this past year.
I know that's what concerns me, because if Cincinnati gets Indianapolis version of Zach Moss, it'll be a wrap. Zach Moss will be the guy. But there's also like 4 years of evidence that Zach Moss isn't that guy. But yeah, that backfield's a little bit confusing. I do like the Gus Edwards pick at the 9-4. I do think he'll be the guy for them. I think he'll score a lot of touchdowns as well. You're on the clock here.
I am on the clock. I'm going to take a quarterback here. I'm going to take Brock Purdy.
View says, why do you think it's Jayden Reed? It's more of a hunch, but really it comes down to late year trends, if you will. Now, Watson wasn't healthy, but just because Watson wasn't healthy doesn't mean now he's going to take over because he was healthy, because we saw Jayden Reed dominate. We saw him really break out in a way that was special for this team. So I'm going to make my pick here, and it's going to be Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, I like that pick as well. But I would agree with that sentiment with Jayden Reed, and the fact as well is that they get creative with him. Jet sweeps, especially on the goal line, getting him those opportunities not to only rush, have like rushing touchdowns, but obviously passing touchdowns is pretty big, which I think it's undervalued when you think of those guys that they can get in space and get creative with. And maybe they use that a lot because of the injuries at running back, and now Josh Jacobs is going to be taking that away, and they'll be more run focused. But I mean, we saw a lot of jet sweeps, we saw a lot of quick screens. Getting the ball in Jayden Reed's hands and letting him get into spaces was exciting because he gets the yards after the catch.
Yeah, he really stepped up, and he was their number one. Really, from I think weeks 10 onwards, he was a dominant player. He was a true league winner, and it's not a coincidence, I don't think, that we saw Jordan Love second half of the season completely dominate, and Jayden Reed was a big part of that. So there's a lot going for him to be that guy, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was share the wealth.
Share the wealth. I love that Jahan Dotson pick there at the 10-5. You know me, I've always been on Jahan Dotson, believing for something to happen. If there's a year to believe again, it's in 2024.
Yeah, why not?
Why not believe in Jahan Dotson there?
Yeah, I would not be surprised if like Luke McCaffrey ends up being a huge deal in a lot of drafts and in Dynasty.
In Dynasty,
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
I forced myself to draft him just in case.
Yeah. When will be the first Dynasty startup mock? Probably do that this week.
Yep.
Liam says, do you think Corum takes 50-50 split? No,
I think there's
so.
I think there's a possibility in the second half. And maybe it's not 50-50, but he can definitely be like a 60-40 at best. I don't think it's 50-50 though.
If you think he's taking a 50-50 split, you should take him in round 6.
Mm-hmm.
But
where'd he go here?
He went round 11. He just went off the
board. Right there.
He
just went off the board. Okay.
So when I was looking at that offense, I gave Kyren Williams 55% of the rushing share, and I gave Corum 31%. If you look last year, Kyren Williams 68% of the market in that backfield. So I've brought him down significantly to 55. But I wouldn't give Corum automatically like a 50% share as well. But yeah, I think Kyron's going to have a great year. But I do think Corum's going to play a part. I'll say this. If Kyren gets injured, let's say Kyren gets injured in week 3 or something, and Blake Corum gets a chance to be in that role, I think it will be very dangerous for Kyren Williams long term.
Yeah, because that just gives McVay an opportunity to, like, that's what happens, doesn't it? I mean, Akers goes down, brings in another running back, and I was like, oh shit, okay. That running back goes down, he brings in somebody else. Oh shit, okay. You know, like, Kyren goes down, you're kind of effed, really.
Yeah, if Kyren goes down, that's the issue. Because if Kyren goes down, I don't doubt Blake Corum's ability to step in and be a guy in that offense. It's not like Ronnie Rivers is the guy waiting behind him now. Carson's on the clock here. Do us a favor, guys. Hit that like button if you have yet to do so. We appreciate y'all. Again, first mock draft of the year, which is exciting stuff.
My team will be a league-winning team if I took Njoku at the 8-2 and not watch it. League-winning. Season winning. Guaranteed. Lock it in.
Saquon Barkley.
I hate Saquon. I hate him.
You're going to have to move on. You're going to have to accept it.
I moved on.
Should have paid him. Should have paid the man.
I'm glad we didn't pay him.
That's on you.
Glad we didn't pay him. It means we got Brian Burns, and I don't think we would have gotten him if we would have paid Saquon Barkley. No way we paid Saquon Barkley and we did that trade for Burns and then pay him that either. Like, no way that happens. At least I don't think it does. You're on the clock here.
I am, and there's nothing I really love here. In a tight end premium, do I take a chance on TJ Hawkinson here and stash him? I don't know.
Could be.
I might take Jerry Jeudy.
Jerry. Shout out to Jerry Springer, man. RIP.
Yeah, RIP.
I'll take a chance on TJ.
No, I hear you, Liam. Yep, Kyron getting hurt is an issue. Hawk is a crazy value at that point. Yeah,
there's just no timeline. If you look at it, like
what was it?
You actually
December. He tore his ACL.
He tore his ACL. I'm pretty sure week 16. There's no way even a wide receiver would come back from that, or a quarterback will come back from that. So I
think about it from like Kyler Murray's perspective. TJ Hawkinson tore his ACL later than Kyler Murray. And when did Kyler Murray come into play? What was it, week 10 or something?
Yeah, it came week 10. To be fair, there was no rush, but yes, it was week 10.
I mean, not having a guy for at least 7 weeks, if not more, burning a hole on your roster, maybe if you have an IR, that might be tough, man. I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna take I would take another tight end here, but for the sake of it, I'll take Pat the Dragon. Come on, I believe.
Pat the Dragon.
I would take Musgrave there, but I already have 3 Green Bay Packers, so might as well switch it up. Love Michael Wilson pick, Macy. Wide receiver 2.
So I'll take just an upside pick there. I'll take Troy Franklin. I really have no idea what to do this late into the drafts.
See a couple guys I like.
Yeah, I think it was January as well when Hawkinson got that surgery. I don't know, man.
I don't see him playing. I'm not going to rephrase that. I see him playing, but I don't see him playing anytime before like week 8. I'll be surprised. I
think that's generous, even.
I'll be very surprised. And even if that, is he going to be the same player? What is a quarterback play going to look like? He hasn't built any rapport with the quarterback play. It just depends on the timeline. If I'm getting reports that TJ Hawkinson is at OTAs, which I don't think we got any reports he was at OTAs, or he's at training camp and running routes with the team, there could be new hope.
I think he's only 4 months from that surgery, so I just don't know when we should expect him. 4 or 5 months, maybe.
Might be a huge miss at it completely. Don't even draft him.
I think he'll play, but here's the issue as well. So it would be easier to be like, yeah, okay, I'll get him week 10, and he's got Kirk Cousins throwing him the ball.
No one's gonna.
That's
the thing.
You don't even know what this offense looks like.
No one knows what the offense looks like, and it's gonna be one of those things. It's like, oh, he's gonna come back and he'll be fine, and then everyone's gonna have him. Winston. That's why I had him on queue. Wide receiver 1. People are gonna have him on their taxi. People are gonna have him on their injury reserved, just sitting there as like, oh, like when he comes back, I'm gonna slot him in. I don't think that's gonna be the case, unfortunately.
As in, it won't be that seamless. You'll have question marks on if you can start.
Yeah, you'll still have question marks, 100%. So now I'm thinking about it. I think I'm a huge avoid on TJ Hawkinson, even if I were, unless I get him in like this value and
this late. There's not really much risk.
Yeah, I mean, because look who you're going against here.
Yeah.
Right? But I just think there's a lot more upside with this, right? I mean, I think the upside's there with Wilson. I think the upside's there with Franklin. I would say I think the upside is there with Quinton. People like Palmer, like Judy, right? Brandon Cooks. The upside is higher, it feels like, for all these guys over TJ Hawkinson. So
I do like the Palmer pick a lot. Although I took Ladd at the 7-9, I would not be surprised if Palmer leads this team in yards this year. So I kind of like that pick a lot. Trey Palmer at the 12-12.
Trigger Trey, man.
That's interesting. I almost have a strong feeling on Trey Palmer.
I almost bought him in a take, but it was just really hard to argue now with Jalen McMillan there. And Palmer was a 6th-round pick. I don't even. I like what he did in the second half of the season, especially in that playoff game. Like, remember he went off against the Eagles? If I wasn't mistaken, it was Trey Palmer, and I was like, oh my goodness. Chris Godwin doesn't look the same to me. Mike Evans gets a 2-year contract extension. I like it as like a really late stash, like a must-hold type of player to see what happens in the next couple of years. But I think that kind of just cancels itself out with a 3rd-round wide receiver in McMillan that I think is a better talent than Trey Palmer. So kind of hard to gauge now.
Yeah, I get you. Marvin Mims. There's a name that I am. When I was statting out, I was like, "Holy shit!" He's gonna. I have him projected to have how many targets?
How many?
Let's see if he comes to me. Because I think he could be a real surprise.
League winner.
Maybe if certain things pan out this offseason, maybe.
Let me find out who it is. I'm interested to know.
Although I really want to take one of these running backs too. I don't know what I would do in a real draft. I mean, Marshawn Lloyd's such a fun pick here.
Let's think. Take the wide receiver. I want to know. Gabe Davis.
So, down. The wide receiver is Jermaine Burton. I think he steps right into that Tyler Boyd role. And I think he gets 100 targets at minimum as a rookie. 100 targets in that offense from Joe Burrow, very enticing to me as a late 13th round pick. And what if T. Higgins really does hold out? I mean, it probably doesn't happen. They probably figure it out, but
it's more of I think the bigger question is, can T. Higgins even stay healthy? Yeah, I think that has been the biggest argument, but a lot of the conversations from like mainstream media, which brings up a good point, is like T. Higgins is really going to have to either back himself and say, I deserve this contract because of my production and I can stay on the field and be reliable. And if that does not happen this year, he really shot himself in the foot. And like, does he get that long-term contract extension? Because it's been, correct me if I'm wrong, almost every single year, including his rookie year, that he hasn't played a full season.
Yeah, it's pretty sad when you look in the last couple of years. I mean, you look at his target share. He hasn't had over 20% of the targets since 2021, I think. And that's not because he's not eligible to be that guy. It's just because of injuries.
Yeah, and that's with Joe Burrow for 3 out of the 4 years, because I don't think his rookie year he had Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
So he has no excuses outside of the injury concerns. And if somebody was like the mainstream media, I was watching ESPN. I don't know who said it, but they was like, he either needs to just take the most money he can get now, or back himself and say that I can stay healthy. And if he stays healthy, he won it. But if he doesn't, he's kind of effed. Because what,
Well, yeah, because when you're on a contract year, that hamstring that hurts, I might have to play through it. I might have to play through it now, because if I don't, I might not get a certain amount of money,
Yep.
So,
which is a huge concern for T. Higgins there. So
yes, Michael. He did play every game in his rookie year, but
he wasn't. But like,
even when you look at like the game logs, he's in and out of games. He's missing certain halves. He's dealing with injuries inside of the game, and that's to talk after in the press conference and stuff. So,
there was a lot of times T. Higgins. I remember. I don't even know who it was. I remember. T. Higgins going to give it a go today. He's going to play, and people were saying, "Should we start T. Higgins?" And we always say, "Start your stars." If he's 100%, if he's going to play, and they said they're not going to hold him back, you start him.
Yeah.
He plays one snap and he just shakes his head walking off the field.
Yeah.
They got 0 points.
Every year, every offseason, people are like, T. Higgins is the best pick because look at all these games. Yeah, this is points per game, but you have to keep in mind that in these 4 games, he only played the first quarter. You know what I mean? That's impacting his points per game. I feel like every offseason, that's a selling point for people for T. Higgins, but we love him.
Yeah, we love T. I want him to succeed. I want the Giants to trade for him. I remember earlier in the offseason when he was going to be on it, but like I think people bring a lot of good points about his injury concerns and everything.
Missed 5 games last year. The year before that, he only started 14. He played 16, so 3 games there was injury issues or concerns. The year before that, he missed 3 games in 2021. Only played 14. And then as a rookie, he played 16 games. So as a rookie, he played every game because it was 16 games back in 2020. It's been 17 games since 2021, but it's not even just the missed games. It's just the constant, like, not being 100%.
Yeah, and then
the injury
report. Question mark every week is like questionable.
Yeah.
You know, should we start or not? It's just, I hope we don't see the same thing this year with T. Higgins. But, you know, when it's on a contract year, these players just tend to just suck it up and play. I mean, think about Evan Ingram. Completely different talent. My guy was injured every single time.
Yeah.
Goes out, gets a 1-year deal saying, you know, I'm going to get me some money. He was like a top 5 tight end. You're kidding me.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite picks this year, too. With Calvin Ridley out of the way. That's it, guys. We appreciate you. A lot of content's going to be coming out on this channel. Do us a favor, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Appreciate you, Muhammad. Thanks for watching the stream. We will also anyway. Everything I just said, no one heard. Anyway, we're first stream here, trying to figure out all the bumps, but we appreciate you guys.
Thank you so much, guys. We appreciate you.
We'll see you soon. All love.
Love.